But you're thinking about creating a sea change within university education generally, the new urban college model.
That's exactly right.
Why and what is that? I mean, how does that happen?
Sure. So the why is because it's needed. All right. There are approximately 1.7 million students every year that go to college and need remedial education. And what studies show us is that the majority of students who need remedial education never progress past that point. They become lost in those classes, they become discouraged, and they just sort of drop out of the system. That's a huge waste of talent, okay? Maybe the problem is the way in which we're teaching them. Now, lots of people learn the old-fashioned way, right? You could sit, you could lecture, they could extrapolate the information, think about it critically, produce an answer. But if you didn't come from that environment, maybe you need a different way of learning. Maybe it's experiential learning. Maybe you learn from doing. It doesn't mean that you aren't bright. It doesn't mean that you're gifted. It just means there's a different trigger point for your infatuation with knowledge. So what if you construct an education model where you are reinforcing the lessons of the classroom through action? And so case in point, in the class that I teach called Introduction to Quinnite Servant Leadership, my students have to do an annual project. And this is really what started to form the basis. Like I started to implement and beta test all these ideas in my class first. So one year, the city of Dallas was going to enlarge a garbage dump not far from our campus. It was going to become one of the largest garbage dumps in the Southwest.
Right.
So my students became engaged in this issue and were upset about it. So we turned that issue into the class project. And the class project was affect change. Right? I mean, that was the assignment, affect change. They researched it. They created a town hall meeting. It was the largest town hall meeting ever in that part of the city, where the city staff came out and had to answer questions about this garbage dump. Then, when the students felt like they had been disrespected or weren't listened to, they organized a protest. And the protest was called We Are Not Trash, which, you know, if you know your history, you know in Memphis, the I Am a Man, so it had a symmetry with that. So they go down, and at first people didn't understand because they're like, well, wait, you're going to protest, and the city council's not in business that day. Exactly. So now they're their only story in town, right? They became the news story. And it was picked up. They went back the next week during the council hearing. It went from being a vote that was going to be something like 13-2 to I think it was 8-7. So they still lost. But in doing so, they placed an inordinate amount of attention on this issue, which inspired the waste haulers to sue the city because they felt the actions they took were illegal. Turns out, federal court ruled in favor of the waste haulers. So the students won. Right? So
your students made sure there was no garbage dump in that part of the
They
town.
made sure that the garbage dump that was already there wasn't expanded. Right? So we taught public policy, we taught politics, we taught business, we taught environmental issues and justice. Now, from that came a partnership that we're doing with Duke University, and next fall, 8 Duke students and 8 Paul Quinn students are going to go to school together. Right. They're going to live at Paul Quinn for 2 or 3 weeks. They'll live at Duke together for 2 or 3 weeks. After that, they'll be in therapy for a year. But, you know, it's the price of success, okay?
The Paul Quinn students will be, yeah.
All of them will be, right? Everybody involved. And the professors, it'll be 3 Duke professors, a couple of Paul Quinn professors, and the subject matter is sustainable economic development of under-resourced communities.
Right.
So this is what the new urban college model says. It says, let's take the issues of the communities that we serve, let's use them as the academic backdrop and the subject matter for our institution. So for us, it's access to food, access to capital, access to quality education. We're building businesses and turning students into business people on those 3 access points.